All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about how you can have control over your feelings, motivation, and relationships without spending thousands in therapy and hours beating yourself up. I think we're all looking for ways to be happier, ways to have more better relationships, to get more done, do better at work, have more fun at home, all those different things. And it can really seem like a never-ending journey to get there. So we're going to talk about some really specific ways. And when we're done, you're actually going to walk away with some tools to achieve exactly that. Okay, so as we get started, I'd like you to do me a favor. Put away your cell phones, sign out of Skype, sign out of Facebook if you're on Facebook. Grab a paper and a pen. You may want to take some notes, jot down some thoughts or ideas that come up as we're talking today. Go ahead and jump up, grab a glass of water if you don't already have one. Water definitely keeps us awake and alert and ready to take everything in. Close the door if you're at home. If you're in an office and you've got some outside noise, go ahead and just shut the door. Let that noise stay out there so you can really just focus and pay attention and be in a nice, safe space. And then maximize this window so that this is all you're looking at on your computer. All right, so I thought I would take a minute and tell you a little bit about who I am. Tell you a little bit about person, then I'll share a little bit about my qualifications, for lack of a better word. And I apologize, my slides are lagging a little bit here, but they will catch up in just a minute. As I said about it, I have a family of 2 grown daughters now. My youngest just turned 18. I'm still in a little bit of shock from that, but she survived, managed to make it all the way through all of her high school years and everything else without anything too major or exciting going on. Let's see, I have a ton of animals. And again, I do apologize, my slides will catch up. I know they will. Sometimes on webinars like this, it's just drawing a lot of resources from the computer, so it can go a little bit slow. And I have a lot of pictures on my next slide. So I've got a lot of animals. I currently have 3 dogs, 4 cats, 9, 10 chickens, some fish, a lizard. Those are all of the animals that I am responsible for feeding. So I do love my animals. They smile every day, which is just, I consider myself lucky. I work home, which is fantastic. I have been around NLP for, a lot of years. I started my practice training learning in the 90s. My dad was very into NLP. And one of the neat things about my dad, which was sometimes neat, sometimes the most annoying thing on the planet, was that whenever he would get into something, he would get massively into it. And I'm going to, excuse me when you see some unpleasant pieces on my screen. There we go. It just needed to find out that I was serious. Get that out of the way for you. All right, so you can see these are my kids, my dogs, my cats, my parents, my siblings, step siblings. And so anyway, so I started my NLP education training back in the 90s. My degree's in psychology. I actually, when I was in school, my oldest was a toddler. So I went through school with the toddler, graduated in the Honors Society in Psychology. I have my Master in Health certification in NLP. I've been in marketing and sales for 25 years, background in working with people and dealing with people and all those fun things. I've owned 5 businesses, both online and offline businesses. I've owned an insurance agency, coaching people with ADHD, a variety of different things. I completed all of my coursework for my master's in education. I was actually kind of frustrated with that. I completed it. I had a 3.85 GPA the whole time. And when I was getting ready to go for my student teaching, this was years ago, our local school district ran into some massive financial problems. And actually, they started the school year late because they couldn't afford to pay the teachers they had. So I decided that regardless of how much coursework I had done, that probably wasn't going to be a really solid career for me. I am currently completing my MBA, mostly because I like to finish things once I start them. Don't know that I'm going to use the MBA, but like I said, I like to finish it once I start. I hate having things hanging out there. This is me out. So let's see. So now let me tell you about my true qualifications. And I call them my true qualifications because for me, any sort of implementation or application of NLP is really just about how you use it, right? Having the book smarts, it's fantastic, but it's how you are able to use it and implement it in your life. So I started to share. My dad was a fanatic, and he really got into NLP. Dad was one of my best friends. However, I was still his daughter. So just because he was interested in it was probably enough reason for me to stay away from it. And then I had this really bizarre experience where I'd gotten really angry at somebody, was a friend of mine, but I didn't like the way they were treating their child. And I got really angry. And it was one of those really just visceral physical reactions, you know, the kind where you can feel, it almost feels like you can feel your blood boiling. You know your face is flushed. You know you're just off scale angry and you don't know how to stop it. Right? And I think we've all had that experience. You know, my muscles feel all tense. My body feels all hot. My face feels flushed. And I couldn't shake it. I was just so ticked. So I got on the phone with my dad and I'm like, hey, what the hell do I do? I don't, you know, I've got to control this because I'm home now and I'm still ticked off. So he walked me through this process. He just started asking me a bunch of questions. And some of them seemed a little odd, but I wanted to play along because this feeling had gotten to a place where it was really just impacting me and bothering me, and to change that. And we walked through the questions. I answered them. I did what I considered was playing along. And it was the strangest thing, I'll tell you, because about 6 minutes into this, I thought, all right, I'll do this. I'll show them it doesn't work. And then we'll talk about, you know, other options. And not even kidding you, 6 minutes into it, I was completely calm. I felt good. Temperature was normal. My speech had returned to normal. It wasn't all fired up and shaky, you know, even when your voice gets shaky because you're just so angry. And it didn't take work. It didn't take emotions. It took answering some questions and trying a couple things. And it was at that time that I thought, okay, there might be something to this. Since then, I have gone on to use NLP in every area of my life. Some of the highlights, I guess, are that my relationships have absolutely improved. We have used NLP to work with my parents' physicians when they've been dealing with cancer or some other health issues. We've worked with their physicians to really tweak their language to make that as healthy as it can be. We have used it for my daughter, who was actually hospitalized with anorexia. She wasn't going to make it. That's an extended story, but actually through NLP and NLP alone, she is healthy. She's been out of the hospital now for 14 and a half years ago. We took her out of the hospital. She has been on an upward gaining slope with her weight until she reached her goal weight. And then she's plateaued there and stayed there for 14 years. She waffles a little bit, 5 pounds here or there like the rest of us. But she's healthy, and she recognizes when the real gift here with the eating disorder for her is that she has been able to learn to recognize when that starts coming up for her again and stop it in its tracks. So that's an important piece. Is NLP doesn't mean that things don't bother you anymore. It simply means that you're able to deal with them and process them in a different way and in a healthier way than you were before. All right, so enough about me. Let's start getting into the good stuff, which I'm assuming is why you showed up. It's how you can have control over your feelings, motivation, and relationships. At the end of today, you're going to have a really solid handle on that, and you're going to know how you can do that. We're going to talk about some very specific ways that you can implement this, some extremely specific situations where you'll be able to take the information and apply it in your life. Now, I'd like you to take just a moment and imagine where your life will be when you can control your emotions rather than letting your emotions control you. Imagine what it will be like when you stop struggling to motivate yourself and when that motivation comes easily. The enjoyment you'll get out of life when your relationships are easy and fulfilling. And all of that can begin to happen after today. So really just take a moment and imagine that, feel that. Okay. Great. Now, when inviting you to this, I promised you a few things. I promised you that I was going to share with you the 3 things I know that have given me superpowers in tough situations, and what you can do instantly to change your experience of any situation. I promised you that you would understand how to more reliably predict how someone will behave in a given situation. You can permanently do to change the quality of your relationships. I promised you that you would discover how to fully step into your power with confidence and grace, knowing and claiming what you want in life. And that I will share the secret that can enhance all of your relationships, personal and professional. I made a few other promises, and I want you to hold me to this. I promised that I would share the key to building genuine and honest relationships in all areas of your life. I promised that I would share what you must do to be motivated, even on your most unmotivated days. And how to find more patience with even the most trying people in your life, right? We've all got those people where we just want to pull our hair out and, scream at the top of our lungs and just say, oh my goodness, stop it. You are driving me insane. I'm going to show you how you can have more patience with those people. And the steps you must take to control your feelings and emotions, no matter what anyone else says or does. Ultimately, what we all want is to be in charge of ourselves, right? And I'm going to show you how to set and reach your financial goals without feeling like you're running uphill in the snow with no shoes. We can all feel like that sometimes, but we certainly don't want it to become a way of life. All right, are we ready to move forward? So the first real key to knowing that you have control over all of these things in your life is to understand, and this is something that I understand and necessary to remind myself of, is that I and I alone am in control of how I experience memories, events, and interactions in my life. It doesn't mean that I'm in control of how other people do things or of what happens. It simply means I'm in control of how I experience that. I'm not a victim to my feelings, and I am not controlled by them. I have a choice, and I make a choice every day. We have experiences because of our reactions to events and interactions, and those reactions are based on how we hold and process the information. Right? We've all heard this, that everything is based on how we perceive things. And it's key to remember that information is simply information. By itself, it's not positive or negative until we give it a meaning. Right? And and here's one for you. Even the most grotesque behavior isn't grotesque until we decide it is. The happiest of times aren't happy until we code them that way. So for instance, generally speaking, most people I think would agree that having a child is a wonderfully happy experience, or getting married is a fantastically happy experience. And there are people out there that for them, it carries a different meaning. It's not as happy. So information, events, activities are simply that. They don't hold meaning until we assign it. All right, so let's play with something. Experiences. I like doing things. I like to get to play with it and try it out and have you experience it, so that when we're off this call today, you've had an experience that you can take with you, and you've learned a new skill that you can use when appropriate. So I think my slides, there might be a little bit of a delay, and I apologize for that, but in just a minute, it will catch up. I've been watching it. It seems to be running just a half a minute behind. I'd like you to take a minute and, again, make sure you're in a quiet place so we can do this. Think of the door to your house. Old. Wherever you lived when you were 5, think of the door to that home. Take a moment and remember what color the door was, what it looked like, what direction did it face, what was in front of the door, what was on the side of the door. Have you been able to think about that? Did you see a picture? Most likely you did. And it's interesting because think back, I didn't say look at the door. I didn't say see the door. I said think about the door. We code information in our senses. So we store and process information, use experiences using our senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. So right now, try to have a thought without using one of these senses. Are you able to do that? You may be thinking of a word. Likely the word is a sound. You know how that word sounds. Okay. All right. So back to the door. When you think of the door, do you get any feelings? Does the door from your home when you were 5 years old elicit any feelings for you? Does it bring back any memories? Now let's see what happens when we change this thought just a bit. Try changing the color of the door. If it was red, make it black. If it was white, make it blue. If it was wood, make it painted. It doesn't really matter how you change it, just that you change it. Now change the size of the door. Make it larger or smaller. Change the direction it faces. Just take a moment and make these changes. Now notice how you feel. How is your feeling different than it was before? Not the thought, but the feeling. Has it changed? Shifted at all for you? Now, before we go any further, I want to make sure that we put those memories right back where they started. So make sure that you change the door back to the original color, back to the original size and shape. Put it back fully the way that it was before we started doing this exercise. All right, is it back to the way it was before? So now notice how you were able to change your experience simply by changing the way that you held the information in your mind. Imagine how many areas of your life that could impact, right? So imagine something slightly less innocuous. So we were talking about the door from your childhood home. Imagine if you were to do something like this, and there are definitely ways to do this in your relationships. Maybe you had an experience, an interaction you weren't particularly fond of. Imagine being able to change just the tone of voice in that conversation in your mind, or the pace of the speech in a conversation. All of these little things, all of these little pieces of that experience, things to shift it to make us more resourceful when dealing with it. Okay? All right, so now let's talk about having control over your motivation. And one piece of this is that I and I alone am in control of my motivational levels throughout the day, week, month, and year. We are not a victim to our motivation. We do not need to spend our days saying, well, I'm just not feeling that motivated today. I guess I'm not going to get much done. Okay, we simply, up until now, have not been in control of this amazingly powerful tool that we just don't yet know how to use fully. Okay, our motivational levels are based on how we represent whatever it is we're not motivated to do. Somehow, somewhere in our mind, the task that we're not motivated to do doesn't sound fun. Like for me, going to the dentist. I don't love going to the dentist, and I'm really trying to be very kind with my language when I say that. And in my mind, whenever I think of going to the dentist, I think of that I'm going to hear. I think of the feeling I'm going to feel. I haven't shifted it, and this is my work to do. I haven't shifted it to, think of how great it's going to be to have strong, healthy teeth that are white and beautiful and proud to show off. It's a mind thing, right? So for others, maybe working out sounds hard. Maybe going to work feels like a drag, or going to the family picnic sounds like a lot of stress and interaction with people. If working out sounded like fun or even relaxing, and if you notice the people who love to work out, using that simply as an example, they refer to it as an energy boost for themselves, or even as a wind down at the end of the day. They'll go to work all day, they'll work their butts off in the office, and then they've got to go to the gym just to wind down, to get everything from the day out. Which is interesting in itself, right? The language pattern about how they're holding work in their mind. Regardless of that, it seems to work for them working out. So the energy boost, the wind down, these are all things we like. And people, for instance, who love to work out have simply managed to code working out in their mind to be a relaxing thing. All right, so we're going to try another little experience. If you guys have a quiet space, all right, take a minute, sit up, get the energy going again. And now I would like you to consider what we're going to do now is discover a little bit of our motivational strategy. Okay? So think for a moment and consider how you got yourself up this morning. Seems like a weird question, right? So what did you actually do to get up? What did you say to yourself upon first awakening that kept you from rolling over and going back to sleep or hitting the snooze 5,000 times? Right? What did you say to yourself or imagine to get out of bed and begin your day? Just take a look at that for a second and see what comes up for you. What motivators were at work with you this morning? Have you been able to identify that, what you were thinking about, what conversation you might have had with yourself? And getting out of bed may seem like a mundane example of motivation, yet it's an important one because it is one that each of us has to do every single day. And I think we'd all agree that there are days where we don't want to do it and we still make ourselves do it. So it's a key thing to really look at and understand. And understanding how you do that daily can provide you with the insight into how you motivate yourself in other situations. For most of my life, I wasn't much of a morning person. I am definitely more of a night owl. I will happily stay up until 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I could always get up at 6:30 or 7 and start my day, but I didn't seem to have fun. I didn't seem to enjoy it. I was definitely getting up because I had to and starting my day because I had to. Okay, and it's funny because I was almost always expected to be somewhere in the morning. So I'd hear the alarm, I'd open an eye, I'd see what time it was. Then I'd usually say, I better get up. I don't want to get up. I don't want to get stuck in traffic and end up being late, but I really don't want to get up. But I have to be there. If I'm not there, right, when I worked outside of the house in particular, if I'm not there, I'm not going to get a paycheck. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get called in. As appointment, even working at home, I'm not going to get enough done. Right? So it always, for me and for a lot of people, I think it was, I used to use negative pictures to keep from hitting the snooze alarm. Right? And in contrast, there are some people, in fact, one in particular comes to mind, who would say that when she opened her eyes in the morning, she would first look for her cat. And when her cat would come up and say good morning, she would pet the cat. She would love on the cat. And for her, after a couple minutes, she'd get up, go to the bathroom, and then she'd be up and awake. Everything's fine, right? It was that transition. And for her, she eased that transition, connecting with and petting her cat. That was the cue. That was the love and the affection and the connection and relationship there. Gave her the energy to do anything she needed to when she woke up in the morning. Okay, so her strategy is connected to that relationship. Now, admittedly, I still don't love mornings, and left to my own devices, my day would probably start around 10. That being said, now when I get up in the morning, even if it is an early morning, in fact, on Friday, I'm taking my daughter to San Ramon. She's going to be getting a philanthropy award. And we have to leave at 6 in the morning, I think. And since learning NLP, I'm no longer, thinking about it all week, thinking, oh, God, 6 in the morning, really. In fact, a couple days ago, I thought we were going to be leaving at 4 in the morning. And found out it was 6. I was pretty happy about that. I'm not going to lie. But nevertheless, though, even when I thought it was 4, I wasn't dreading it. I wasn't thinking, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Right? I knew. And now, so when I fall asleep, I'm telling myself about something I look forward to doing the next day. Maybe it's having breakfast. Maybe it's getting to sit out on my deck and look out over the pond and the birds and the squirrels and the bunnies. And we have a lot of wildlife here. So maybe that's what drives me for the morning. Maybe it's, maybe I've got an exciting meeting coming up. Whatever that is, there's always something to look forward to the next day. So if you find that you're currently using a stressful strategy for getting out of bed, right, when we were just talking about that, I don't necessarily recommend that you abandon that completely until you've got something that works equally well on the positive side of things. Okay, so one mistake that people get into, not infrequently, is they find something they're doing that they want to change, and they stop doing that without replacing it with another healthy and strong pattern or strategy. Okay, and it's safest to start playing with that pleasure-based strategy or doing non-essential projects, right? Not when you have to be at work for a critical meeting. The people have flown in for it, not the time to mess with it. Okay, but work at it on the weekend when you really can create a more positive set of feelings to get you up and out of bed on work days or ready to tackle more critical projects. Play with it on the weekend and work on creating a positive strategy for getting up. And if you already have a positive strategy, good on you. This is going to put you miles ahead of your Ben when looking at motivation in other areas. Okay, so when people look ahead to something pleasant, people that do it effectively do it in an associated fashion. This is the other key. And this is a piece that often gets missed and leads to lackluster results. Motivational strategies. So let's talk about this for just a minute. You can either be associated into your feeling when you're practicing things, or you can be dissociated. Dissociated would be when you're just thinking about it. Okay, associated would be when you take that moment and you're thinking about the exciting thing you're going to do the next day and you're feeling that excitement. Okay, so that's going to be the key to successfully building this motivational strategy. So when you're thinking about what you're going to get up and do the next day. So we'll use my experience as an example. Leaving early Friday morning. For me, I'm going to get a car ride with my daughter, which is always good at 18. If they ever want to spend an extended period of time with you, you're lucky. So I've got that. And I'm imagining, how much fun we're going to have in the car. We're going to be listening to music, laughing, talking, visiting. Then I'm imagining how it's going to feel to get to sit there and watch her receive her award, get to give up and, give her acceptance speech, short though it may be, but be able to say something about that, accepting the award. So I'm in that feeling, right? The other option is I can just sit back and say, okay, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. Some time with her. And that's not quite as encompassing, right? So you really want to be associated when you're looking at this. All right, so finally, let's talk about control over our relationships. And one of my has me solid in this is that I and I alone have control over my roles and responsibilities in my relationships. And I'll share just a little bit about this with you. When we're really around between all three perceptual positions, that's first, second, and third perceptual position. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. And it's useful and healthy to move in and out of those. Okay, it's useful and healthy to move in and out of those positions. All right. First position is where you're in your own body. You see everything through your own eyes. You know exactly how you feel. You're just totally in it. So if you think about right now, everything that you're learning and experiencing, that's first position. Okay, you know what you want. That's a position of great authenticity. It can also be kind of an infantile position if you get stuck there. So, people who are stuck there, we tend to call narcissistic and immature, right? They just can't get out of themselves. They can't imagine what it's like for anybody else. Second position is a position where you're very, very simpatico and empathetic to another person. You feel their pain. You sometimes know what they want before they want it, right? Maybe you go get them a glass of water before they need it, or you go give them a hug before they had asked. It's a position of great understanding. It is possible to go too far with second position and get stuck in how other people feel. That's when you'll hear that referred to as being codependent. And third position is often called the observer position. That's where disconnected or dissociated, as we were just talking about, and you're outside of the situation. Just sort of see what's happening from a neutral position. Okay. Scientists often function in that space. All right, so let's now, and this will be our final experience for today. Take a moment and think of someone you have a difficult time communicating with, or a situation that's not as creative or productive in interaction, doesn't bring out the best in you. So just take a moment and think of that. Think of a situation. You feel stuck in some way, maybe unresourceful. Okay. Now imagine you're in a movie theater and see the other person up there on the screen behaving the way they behave, and come up with a word to describe their behavior. Descriptive word. Okay, given the way you're seeing them behave, this is the way you would describe them to someone else. If you come home and you're talking to a friend, a spouse, how would you describe them? What word would you use to describe them? For instance, you might use, maybe they're behaving self-absorbed or aggressive. Whatever that is, now take a big deep breath and see yourself up there on the movie screen in the loop with this person. So you're seeing the interaction happen. And now you're in third position. You're watching and listening on the movie screen, but you're in the movie theater. So you're watching and listening as a neutral observer. Observe the way you behave. What are the words you would use to describe your behavior? For example, when the other person is self-absorbed, maybe you become withdrawn. Or if the other person's aggressive, maybe you become defensive. I know defensive is one of my favorite go-tos when I'm unresourceful. And as you're watching this from third position, you can begin to see your part in this whole dance, right? They wouldn't have any fun doing it by themselves, and neither would you. They wouldn't have any fun being aggressive by themselves if there wasn't anybody to be aggressive toward. You wouldn't have any fun being defensive if there wasn't anybody to be defensive toward. Okay, and this is what systems are about, getting a big enough piece of the interaction so you can step back and say, oh, I get it. Now I see how I'm dancing with this person. And then you begin to realize what choices you have to change the dance. Third position, you can step back into the relationship with a new perspective and understand how that information can make a difference to the quality of the interaction. Because as we know, if one part of the system begins to move, the whole system is going to move, right? So once you do this, if you have somebody, and we've all had people in our lives that are just really challenging for us to deal with, right? So if you put them on the screen and you step back and you look at them from a distance, you look at the interaction, you may be able to identify areas where you can make a change that will then make a change for them as well. Okay? How's that sound? Pretty good? All right. Fantastic. It's really neat to start to get into it and play with it a little bit and understand how one slight shift can make such a large overall shift on things. So now imagine how nice it'll be when you're in control of your life and you can build and grow the kind of relationship that you want. right? When you're getting more done in a day than you've ever done before without working extra hours, because that motivation is there. And you're healthy and you're strong and you're full of energy. So if I could help you accomplish this and walk you through the steps to get there, and through even more of these tools and processes, and we could practice them together and take you by the hand to take you deeper into how NLP can help you reach these goals, would that be useful? If there was a way you could be guided to implementing the NLP into your life in the areas you want it most, would you like that? That'd be pretty valuable. I know for me, having had a guide to how to implement NLP, right? Because NLP is such an amazing set of tools and resources. And just reading a book, you don't necessarily know how to apply it in your particular situation or in your life. It's challenging to read a book, read the example there, but how do you take that and map it over to what's going on in your world? Right? And that's where the real value is. That's where, if I hadn't had somebody show me that, I never would have been able to experience the true change that NLP provided in my life. I never would have been able to have experienced the amazing relationships I have, the increased energy, motivation. You should see how much I can get done in a day, by the way. I never would have been able to learn that and apply that if I hadn't had somebody walking me through it. Okay, well, I've put something together, and it's called The Spark Within, and it's a 4-week boot camp to kickstart your inner power and find your inner strength, amp up your communication, double time your productivity. We're going to go through so many different things. Let me tell you a few things that we're going to cover. Excuse me. So we're going to talk about, you're going to learn, I'm going to show you a creativity strategy for problem solving, where you'll be able to, whenever you're having a problem or a challenge in your life, you're going to have a go-to strategy where you can figure out the solutions that you need and find the best solution for you. And we're going to explore how to have clear communication with even the most difficult to communicate people in your life, right? We all have some that no matter what you say, you get off the phone or you finish an in-person interaction, you're just thinking, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, I thought I was just saying, something very simple, would you like to have dinner? And it turns into this extremely large conversation. So we're going to explore how to have clear communication with anybody in your life, how to understand other people's motivation, even when they don't seem to make any sense at all to you. Okay, how you can manage your own off-the-hook reactions to things. Do you ever have that where you react to something happens, and you just have this screaming intense reaction that makes no sense, and it makes no sense. You can't do anything to change it because you've already had the reaction. We're going to explore that, and you're going to get a strategy for your particular situations. Maybe you have a trigger, something that just, if somebody says something, looks at you, you're in a situation, it just fires you up like that. We're going to look at that, and we're going to figure out why positive thinking doesn't work. We're going to understand how to resolve conflicts before they really take hold. How to negotiate like a boss. I will tell you, the insights NLP gives you into other people will communication and your negotiation beyond anything you ever thought. How to motivate yourself even on the days you'd rather stay in bed. I think we all have some of those days. How to change how you experience interactions. Right? How do you change the way that you experience different interactions with people? How to become the most patient person in the room. I will tell you, that was one of the ways people always describe my dad, was one of the most patient people on the planet, which, as his daughter, used to crack me up because I knew a different side of him, right? But people always explain him as the most patient person in the room. And I used to laugh. And now I'm seeing that because I'm starting to get those, I started getting those comments and descriptions as I advanced in my NLP. And it really does make a difference. You really do become the most patient person in the room. How to resolve negative reactions to people or memories. Okay, this is part of what I was talking about earlier. When positive thinking isn't enough, when just sitting back and saying, this is going to go great, I know we're going to have a great communication, just isn't enough. And how to fix that. All right, so the 4-week boot camp, you're going to get worksheets that you can walk through the steps of what you want to do, what you want to change. A guidebook, again, to help guide you through. There will be a weekly webinar and walkthrough of different processes. And again, this is all about applying it in your life, right? It's not theory, it's not in a book, it's not generalized, it's very specific, as well as weekly office hours. And that's, frankly, one of the largest values of this, is because there will be weekly office hours where you're free to call me. Ask me your questions. If you've got something very specific you're wanting to work on, maybe it's a presentation coming up at work and you want to know how you can just be in your best self, right? Arrive at the best. How will that work? How does that look? You'll be able to call during the weekly office hours. There's also a private Facebook group where you'll be able to interact not only with me, but with other people. Okay. So the Spark Within, this 4-week boot camp, is really going to jumpstart you and you're using and integrating NLP into your life to realize the kinds of changes that you're wanting to see. And actually, with the Spark Within, because you're here today, one of the things I'm going to give you is a free month in Awaken the Master. And this is really sharpening your ninja NLP skills to supercharge your work in life. And the things we're going to cover in this are off the hook, seriously. They're just some of the top level skills. Awaken the Master is a 12-month supercharged, amped up training program to maximize your performance, relationships, finances, and future. And seriously, we're going to take things from every area of your life and use NLP to supercharge it. Okay, so you're going to discover how you can be an expert in anything. We're going to explore and really get into Navy SEAL mental toughness. Right? You're going to learn you can do anything. Did you know that? You can do anything. I'm not just saying that. That's not a catchphrase. It's absolutely true. You're going to learn how to bust through beliefs that are dragging you down and holding you back. And we all have those beliefs in the back of our head. Maybe it's that little voice that are just, you go to do something and for whatever reason you just can't get there. And we've got those beliefs that are stopping us. You're going to learn how to bust through those. We're going to explore and you'll discover how to feel good about any decision you make. How many times are you in a position of making a decision and you feel like you lose whatever decision you make, right? Whatever way you decide to go, maybe you're at a fork in the road. Whatever way you decide to go, you feel like you're going to lose. And we're going to look at how to be congruent so that you feel good about any decision that you're making. You're going to learn secret persuasion skills that will work on anyone. I will tell you, I have persuaded and negotiated with some of the people on the planet. I used to actually sell to car salesmen and sales managers at car dealerships. I have used to work at a blood bank, so I sold people on giving blood. Seriously, there are some secret persuasion skills that are going to help you in your negotiations, if you do any sales or marketing, which I personally believe everybody sells something. If nothing else, you're selling yourself. Okay, so there are going to be some secret skills there. Language tricks that will win you the game. You'll discover how to figure out anyone's motivations that are so secret they may not even know about them. Just like we don't know sometimes about our own motivating factors, like we explored with the getting out of bed. Not everyone knows what motivates them. And you'll discover how to recognize when you rub someone the wrong way before they tell you, so you can smooth it over before they're even upset about it. Okay, so that's with the Awaken the Master. And again, you're going to get a free month with that. It's a monthly live call, monthly office hours, interviews with experts, right? So I'll be interviewing experts. I'll also be interviewing and sharing with you people who have used NLP to change their lives. Okay, so people who have used NLP to change their lives in one way or another. Maybe they used it to overcome a health challenge. Maybe they used it to get a promotion at work, whatever that is. We're really going to be talking about how NLP is being used in life. And of course, you'll get a guidebook, an implementation cheat sheet each month, and a private Facebook group. Okay, so with this, you'll get the Spark Within, Awaken the Master, and a couple of other things actually that I'm throwing in for you. For anybody who sees this today, you're also going to get the Life Stories 6-part series. And this is really cool. It's 6-part print and audio series on applying NLP to your daily life. Okay, subjects such as overcoming overload, accepting mistakes as learning, how we determine the meaning of things, and a lot more. And it's really applicable, really friendly, really just stuff you can listen to, read, and implement. So it's not a big, huge course or anything. They're bite-sized chunks. Okay, so the Spark Within, Awaken the Master. The first bonus is a Life Story 6-part series. The next bonus is you're going to get a personalized action plan. And this is something I'm throwing in because I really want to make sure that you're able to make the changes you want. Okay, my passion has always been, and my dad and I used to talk about this a lot actually, my passion is helping you and everybody, frankly, use NLP to change your life. I don't personally, what excites me is not a bunch of people learning the book pieces of NLP. I want to see people learning it and using it to improve their life, to help the people in their families, to do better at work, to reach their goals, to have what they want, and frankly, just be happier and live in a calmer, more peaceful, sane world. That's my Pollyanna spiel. So I've put together a personalized action plan for you, and it's going to be a 30-minute fast action call with me to identify your areas of greatest concern. Okay, a personalized plan to begin implementing immediately, you to start making the changes in the areas you need, right? Because if I'm telling you how to make changes in areas that I may want to make changes in, the dentist. If I'm telling you all about how to get excited to see the dentist, that is going to do you no good if you love your dentist, right? So it's going to be all about figuring out what you want and need and how to get you there. And then there will be some follow-up to make sure that you're following that plan, things are sticking together. Okay. So what you'll get is the Spark Within, Awaken the Master. You'll get 1 month free with that, as well as a reduced price with that. The first bonus is a Life Story 6-part series. The second bonus is a personalized action plan for a total value of $21.77. Be that today. Today it's going to be $4.97. And again, I told you my passion is really about helping you, helping people to be successful, to make those changes, right? I'm blessed in that I've got 2 daughters, 18 and 26. We get along phenomenally well, amazingly well. And it doesn't mean we don't tick each other off, because we do. It doesn't mean we don't rub each other the wrong way. We totally do. But you know, we work through it and we communicate through it. And when we upset each other, maybe we take a minute, but we work through it. And that is such an important key that is so frequently missed, because I approach them differently and they approach me differently. I approach them differently because I've learned how to do it better. They approach me differently because, well, they can't get out of it. They've been raised around it now. Okay, so there's a button right below this screen that says Access to Spark Within. Gives you access right away. You can go there. You can, you will get, you can take care of everything right there. You'll get access. The Spark Within starts on Monday. I like to start things Monday because a lot of what we do, let me tell you the reason for that, because I oftentimes get questions, why can't I start sooner? I want to start earlier. The reason that I start them on Monday is because a lot of what we do will really get you fired up, and it's not always useful to get fired up on the weekend, right? Because a lot of times you want your weekend to relax. You want to be able to just kick back, have a good time, rejuvenate. So I like to start things on Monday, particularly like this, because there's a lot of work to be done. And on the other piece of that is a lot of people, myself included, tend to stay home. So if we're working on something that's about relationships and how to deal with other people and how to experience other people, we're going to be more successful doing that if we do that during the week when we're out and about more often anyway, right? Okay, so I would love to have you join me in the Spark Within. I would absolutely love to have you there. We're going to have a ton of fun. I'm super excited about it. It's a 4-week boot camp. You're going to get all these other great bonuses too that will just do jumpstart everything, make the changes. You know, you guys have been writing me and telling me some of the changes you want to make. So this is really customized to what you're looking for. And we're really going to explore some things. I've updating it. This is offered this a few different times, and people have always loved it, the changes they've made. The emails I get back from people about the way they've changed their lives are just, they're amazing. They're nothing short of amazing. And I've been updating it because I really want to make sure that you have the tools, and not just tools in terms of here's a bunch of stuff on a plate, figure out what to do with it, right? I want you to have the tools and the workshop and know which tools to use where and how. And even more than that, and this is why I've added office hours in, is because I want you to have a chance to, I want something else. I want to be able to make this change. What do I do to make this change? Okay, so make sure you click that button. It'll take you to the shopping cart. You can take care of everything there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. It's going to be a great time. Again, it starts Monday. It is limited because, you know, if we get too many to be able to give you guys a personal attention. I will tell you, this webinar actually, I had to add more seats because so many people registered. So I do encourage you to jump in on it now. The bonuses are going to go away. We will fill up. It's only $4.97. You can look at everything on the shopping cart if you have any questions. All right, any questions that you have now? I will do my best to get to all of them. The Spark Within, yes, it's a 4-week boot camp. Starts on Monday to really, frankly, start Monday with rolling our sleeves up, getting our hands dirty, and really just getting in there. We're going to explore one of my favorite questions, which is, does thinking always work? Right? We've all been taught to think positively. And if you just think positively, things are going to go well. It's really, I don't know about you, that doesn't always happen for me. Right? Like I can go into a situation, I can be thinking positively, I can be fired up and know it's going to be fantastic, still go to crap in the middle of it, right? So why doesn't thinking positively always work? Okay. And I'm adding some other things in there, like how to manage your off the hook reactions. Normally I save that for slightly more advanced, but frankly, you can learn it. It'll make a huge difference. It's absolutely in the list of things that people are concerned about and want to know about. And I want to get that for you. Okay. What other questions? Yes. Okay. So what's included in the Spark Within? Awesome question. Thank you for asking. The Spark Within is a 4-week boot camp that we'll do weekly webinars. We will be doing weekly office hours, right? You'll get worksheets and a guidebook. So you're really going to be walked through things that you can do to change your world today. You will notice a difference when we start on Monday. You will notice a difference Monday night. Like you will see the difference. You will, whatever it is that you're working on, maybe it's a renewed relationship, more motivation, whatever that is, whatever you choose to have be your primary focus. And I can't tell you specifically what that is yet. You will notice a difference right away. Okay, all of the webinars will be, yes, the webinars will be recorded. So if you can't make it, not a problem, right? You can just listen to the recording. You can jump, the office hours will also be recorded. So you can get any information that you're needing. All right, let's see, what else? What other questions are coming in? If I missed your question, I'm sorry. I will get to it after the call today. I want to try to get everybody off here pretty quickly. Yeah, Awaken the Master is, I definitely recommend signing up for both if you can. It's going to take what you learn in the boot camp and help you extend it through the course of the year. And I promise you, at the end of that year, you will absolutely notice a difference. Yes, this is, there is a guarantee here for the Spark Within. The guarantee is 7 days because it's such a short-term boot camp. For Awaken the Master, it is actually the same 100-day, 100% guarantee that we have with all of our products. Everything that NLP Comprehensive offers, which is basically 100 days. If you're not happy, let me know. I'll refund the entirety of what you've paid, less any outstanding balance, which is pretty rare. No questions asked basically. I mean, I may ask, what are you dissatisfied about, more for my own knowledge, but certainly not to argue or complain or quibble or anything like that. So your decision today is completely solid and backed up and safe. Safe. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about how to manage conversations with your spouse and with your teens. Getting ready for retirement. Yep, we can definitely look at that and explore the areas where you're feeling like you're having the biggest challenge with retirement. We can work on those. And definitely you can learn some ways to shift how you're viewing retirement so that you're feeling more secure, you're looking forward to it, you know that things are going to work out okay. Absolutely. Anything else? All right, well, it's 11:06. We've gone over by just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, tracy@nlpco.com, and I'll do everything I can to get those answers to you right away. easily and how simply you were able to improve and change your life immediately. So thank you so much for thanks.